Okay, we'd like to welcome you all out tonight. We're going to talk about a new tool, Family Name Assist, which was just introduced recently. And we're all going to try to learn about this tool together because I guarantee you very few of us have probably even seen it so far, and let alone know exactly what it's for. So what are we going to cover in this presentation on Family Name Assist? Well, we're going to talk about what the tool is, why it was created, when it should be used and when it shouldn't be used, who can use it, where can they find it, and how does it work? We've got a lot of stuff to cover. And then who can benefit from this presentation? I think that's the first question we need to address. And quite frankly, it ends up being everybody at this point. Bishops and branch presidents especially, and you'll hear why. And then the branch or ward council members, ward, temple, and family history consultants, ministering brothers and sisters, and the membership of the church in general. It's kind of morphed from when it was first introduced at RootsTech to what it has now through a series of articles and different things that have been written about it. The usage of it and how it can be used has kind of expanded from what I initially heard back at RootsTech. Okay, so what is Family Name Assist? Okay, it's a new family search feature that's accessible from leader and clerk resources. It's found in the LCR, and it helps bishopric members, well, it helps the bishop or the branch president or bishopric members and branch presidency members and others that they might designate to assist a church member in gathering information to do proxy baptisms and confirmations in the temple for their deceased family members. So it's designed to help people going to the temple for the first time, especially, to have a name to take with them to do when they go to do their first baptism and confirmation session in a temple. The Family Name Assist was featured at our recent 2024 Temple and Family History Leadership Instruction. You can go to that presentation and watch it, and they explained it through that presentation. The way they explained it was fairly limited in how it can be used. Things have kind of opened up as other things have been introduced since then. And we'll cover that. And the beauty behind this program is that it requires basically no family history research to do. In the letter from March 28th that was sent out to the priesthood leaders from the priesthood and family history departments, they essentially says it creates a natural opportunity for meaningful conversations about eternal families between the leaders and members of their congregation, especially the branch presidents or the bishops, when they interview new converts for their limited use, first unit limited use recommend to go to the temple. And so this is where it was intended initially to be used. It's now kind of been expanded a little bit, but that was the initial thing, to be able to help these new people in the church get a name without having to do family history research and take it to the temple and receive the blessings. So why was this introduced? It was developed to assist these ward leaders in helping new converts attend the temple shortly after baptism so they could be baptized and confirmed for a close family member if at all possible. Not always possible, but most of the time there'll be somebody close to them that is deceased now who is eligible to be baptized. So the goal is to have this new convert experience both halves of the temple blessing when they attend the temple for themselves, not for themselves, but when they attend the temple. This helps them to draw closer to the Lord and also to perform work for their deceased ancestors so that they get both parts of the blessing, their personal development and blessing their departed loved ones. So you might think, well, then why is this so important? Is there a problem here? Well, it's been shown that new converts that attend the temple shortly after their baptism and do baptisms and confirmations for close family members tend to stay active at a higher rate than new converts who do not partake of this opportunity. Okay, this has been found through studies of converts by the church and their activity after they join the church, that a higher percentage of them leave the church right away and drop out. A higher rate of them that do that are ones that have not gone to the temple. Those that have gone to the temple tend to stay active better. So that's the rationale behind this program. So is it really a problem? Yes, it is. Okay, I can survey the 20 stakes here in Central California in a couple of our coordinating councils, and we both average about 15% of our new converts are submitting names for their deceased relatives. And this is the best indicator that we actually have, that we can look at and easily see a number. And this comes off of the Family History Activity Report, where it talks about members who submit. Now, it was interesting. I met with our mission president at our state conference, and I asked him, I said, is there something I can do for you after I explained my calling? And the first thing out of his mouth was, help us get these new converts to the temple. Well, you've got to open your mail up. Well, I don't know what I can do for you. Try closing it down and opening it back up. Okay. So anyway, I lost my train of thought here. So this tool, FAR, the Family History Activity Reports, really about the only thing we can draw from. And it does have some problems using it as a way to measure how successful we are in getting our new members to the temple. Because basically what it'll have on it is they'll talk about these new members and submissions. So a typical stake might have on their April report, which would have been one of the most recent ones. We now have the April report out. It might say something like 4 submitters out of 30 new converts. Well, those 30 converts are people that have joined the church since January 1. That's the way the report works. Now, taking at face value, that means that about 13% of that stake, 13% of that stake's new converts have submitted a name for temple work. What it doesn't really tell us is how many of those converts actually took a name to the temple, because it's possible that the new member got a name for their family through somebody else going in and maybe helping them create a tree and then submitting reserving the name through their account, not the member's account, the new member's account. And so there's a possibility they could take family names and we wouldn't know that. Also, it doesn't mean that 13% of the new members have gone to the temple. They may have gone to the temple without submitting a name, and hopefully they've gone to the temple. But I think the mission president's on the right track in that many of them just simply aren't going to the temple. And then one other thing about the Family History Activity Report, it says there are 30 converts. Well, that doesn't mean they're all old enough to attend the temple, because that 30 new converts will include any person from the age of 8 up who has joined the church in that stake. during this reporting period time. So there are going to be 8-year-olds through 10-year-olds in that list. And of course, they can't go to the temple yet, but it's not going to filter them out. It's going to put them in that number. So I've asked around, I asked our area supervisor over our callings, and they said that typically about 20% of the new converts in California, or here in the West, about 20% of our new converts are actually age 8 to 10. And so they would not be countable. So more reasonably, we could say there's probably 24 people eligible to submit names out of those 30. So if we had 24 people, we would be really doing a great job. We had a number near 24, because that'd probably be about the max. And by the way, if any of you happen to be in the Utah area, he said it's very interesting there that it's closer to about 40% of the new converts in Utah are actually in this age group of 8 to 10. So, it'll vary from area to area. So anyway, this isn't a real good number to use, but it's about the best thing we have for a quick, easy way to judge what's happening within our stake or our ward. And the bishop or branch presidency can track these new converts a lot better if we start working with them, because they can look in the recommend records and see if they have a recommend. They'll know. And then you can extend this then to maybe the Elders Quorum president and the Relief Society president to help follow up with these new members and make sure that they get to the temple and that they do in fact take names for their own family if they can, and actually form a program. Because what's happened in the past is we just haven't done anything. And the brethren in Salt Lake are asking us to please participate in this program to bless the lives of these new converts and some others too that we'll be mentioning. Okay, so what exactly is Family Name Assist? Well, it's just a simplified way to help members easily prepare these names for a baptistry experience. It's simply for baptism work. The goal is to help the member focus on the Spirit and have a wonderful first experience. And they do mention over and over again, where possible, those of you that are working with them, try to attend the temple with them so that they have friends with them and they feel supported, and that it, becomes an easy experience for them. What the slides you see, the little pictures you'll see on these pages are actually from the Family Name Assist, and they have some beautiful pictures that go with it. And I just had to include those rather than just the information part of the page, because they really are good. Okay, so what is Family Assist not? It's not an opportunity to add multiple generations to the new members' tree. This isn't a program to help them build their tree up. Okay. And it's not a time to do research. You won't be able to do research in this program. You'll be able to put a name in, and that's all you're going to be able to do. So there's no research, no sources, things like that. It's not a time to learn all the features of the FamilySearch website, because you're really essentially not going to be in the FamilySearch website. It will take the information you provide and put it on tree for you, and even reserve the name for you. But you're not going to be in there in the tree itself. And it's not a time to have a discovery experience. Those things all come at a different time and should be approached, according to the members' needs and when it's appropriate to work with them and get them involved in the tree. So don't expect to use it as a way to have discovery experiences for them. Okay, when do you use this name assist tool? Well, the tool's designed that so the member can print this name for these people for the first few times they go to the temple, especially the first time. Requires no in-depth research. It relies solely on the member's living memory. And they should be kind of prompted ahead of time before they go to the bishop for the limited use recommend, because that's when it will actually get used. They should be kind of prompted ahead of time to think about family members that are dead now, that are close relatives like grandparents, parents, spouses, siblings, or children that would be eligible for baptism, and have in their mind who it is they want to do this for. And maybe have in their mind like a birth date and death date and things like that, if they can find it. If a member doesn't have a close relative, and that can sometimes happen if they're like a person being baptized from a family that is an active family and all the work's done for the close relatives, then the other option when you go into it is to go over to ordinances ready. Now that will maybe or maybe not provide them with names that are related to them, but you know they'll be able to get names. Okay, so who can use the leader and clerk version? The bishop or the branch president has it as part of their limited use recommend process. When they get finished creating the recommend for this new member, they'll be able to go directly to this through the same program that they're using for recommends. And if they choose, if for some reason they don't have the time at that night, or they feel uncomfortable doing it, maybe they don't have a background in family history at all, they could actually invite one of the leaders in the ward to do this program with the new member. They could pass this new member off to one of several other people. And these people are the counselors to the bishop or branch president, or the ward executive secretary or ward clerk, the elders quorum or relief society president, the young women's president, the Sunday school or primary president, the ward mission leader, or the temple and family history leader. All those people have access to this tool, but they're not going to use it unless the bishop instructs them to use it with this new member. And what will happen is the leader will send an invitation to one of these people through leader and clerk resources. And that notification will show up in the leader's LCR communications box.
Hang up or press 1 for more options.
We've got some people talking.
Sorry, I missed your call. You can call me back. Thanks.
Dina, you guys need to mute, please. Thank you. Okay, the message will come to the leader through the LCR communications box under messages. And the invitation will include a link to the tools, even though these people actually have the tool in their LCR folder, whatever you want to call it, under, I believe, Temple. But there'll be an actual link, so they don't have to go looking for it. They'll be able to just open up the link and then work with this person. Okay, can others use this tool? Well, this is what was interesting, because at RootsTech, they only talked about the bishop and then maybe passing this off to one of these ward leaders. And now in later documents that have been published, it now says that temple and family history consultants, ministering sisters and brothers, and others may also use this tool to help members with printing cards for the first time. Members may even use the tool themselves, though leaders should ensure that they have someone to assist them if needed. In other words, they really are a little reluctant to allow just the regular membership to use this. They ought to really be out in tree, working in tree, but technically they'd be able to get to it. And the leaders and other helpers should coordinate with one another when they help new members to learn about serving their deceased family members in the temple. Okay, in other words, this isn't going to be a free-for-all. If there was somebody that I felt needed to have this help, I ought to go to the bishop and say, hey, Bishop, can I help this person, or are you going to do it, or what? You know, I could do that as a temple and family history consultant. I could reach out to the bishop and say, hey, I'd like to be able to help this person. And it will be said later on, there are some other groups of people besides new converts that we need to be considering. This would be the 11-year-olds that are going to the temple for the first time. This could be unendowed members who are finally preparing to go to the temple for themselves, and before they go to be endowed, they can get a limited use recommend and do baptisms. It could include newly reactivated members, people that are coming back into activity. A lot of people that could benefit from the use of this tool, not just brand new members, though that's the real focus of the program. Okay, so how do we use this? Now, this puts me in a difficult situation because I'm not one of those people that has LCR access. So I can't go into LCR and do this. I had to go through access that's for consultants. And I'm assuming, and I think I'm correct, that what we're going to see tonight that was pulled up through consultant access will be the same as what the bishop would have if the bishop was working with John Doe, who had just been baptized and was getting his limited use recommend. Okay. So the first thing that's going to happen is you're going to have to sign the person in. So that right away leads us to a situation that we really need to train people on. Those of us that are consultants would know how to handle this. Most bishops probably wouldn't. And so it's really important, or some ward leaders might not know either. So it's really important to think through the situation. Now we have Johnny Smith, who just got baptized. There's three possible situations when we bring him to this tool to use. One is he never has had an account with FamilySearch. So if that's the case, you're going to be able to sign him up, and you're going to need to know his MRN, his member record number, because without that member record number, you're not going to be able to help Johnny have an account that will allow him to submit a name. So you've got to make sure you've got that available. And so for some of our new members, that's going to be their situation. Nobody's worked with them before in FamilySearch, so therefore they don't have an account at all. So you're going to have to help them set it up from scratch and make sure that it's a LDS account so that they can get to the ability to submit. Now, it's also possible as a second option that they have an account, but it's not a member account. It's a public account. It was set up with them maybe by a consultant or somebody at the center or the missionaries, and before they were baptized, and they have this account, but it doesn't allow them to do temple work. And so what you're going to have to do is when they sign in, then you're going to have to go and provide that member record number so that the account can be converted to an LDS account, to a FamilySearch account, so that they can submit. So that's the second possibility of what can happen when you start to work with this patron. And then the third possibility is that for some lucky chance, they already have an account and it's linked to their member number and they're ready to roll. I doubt you're going to see many of those. You're probably going to see option 1 or option 2 more often. Okay, once you've started the program, what will happen is it's going to say, you need to sign up. Here are some options that you can use to help the member. And it's a page that comes up. It has a QR code so that if they want to do this on their mobile device, they can look at the QR code and on their camera and tap on it and open up the link that they need to get to through that. Or you have 4 ways that you can send them a login access so that they can get into Family Name Assist. You can send them an email that has a link, or you can copy the link and send them a text. You can use Messenger or WhatsApp. They've provided several ways that you can share with them the link to get them to Family Name Assist, because it's a special sign-in site that you need to get them to. Or, and this is the thing I would recommend strongly, like if a bishop is doing this, what he's going to do is he's just going to sign out of FamilySearch himself and let the member sign in on his computer. Why? Because that computer, if they're in the church, assuming they're here in the church, they will be able then, when they get to the point of printing the card, they'll be able to print the card real easy off the bishop's printer. Now, all of this is found in a link here under FamilySearch.org temple/guide-me/assist. This is the Family Name Assist page at FamilySearch. It's not on the main page. You have to link into it by typing it in. We have all this on the one of the last slides in the presentation, and you'll be able to have access to it through what's it called? The PDFs that we make for these presentations that show you all the slides. And I always send you a link for that. Download the PDF and you'll be able to get to all of these links that we'll be showing you. Okay, so actually what happens is this is what happens. And the first little screen that comes up says, do you have a FamilySearch account? Yes or no? If you say yes, it'll let you go ahead and sign in. If you say no, then you get a sign up option. And notice the stress they're making on don't do it the normal way. Do it through Facebook or Google or Apple or even the LDS church account rather than creating yet a new account. But you can, at the very bottom here, you can create a username and password. But they offer this new member multiple ways to set up the sign-in. Okay, which I think is very interesting. Okay, once we get past that, we get to this screen. This is that add a deceased member of the close family screen. Now, like I said, I love these pictures that go with them. They're going to have the 2 options. One of them is to add, a deceased member or use ordinances ready. So we're going to go and add a new member. Now, what I had to do, I don't recommend you do. I had to go in and create a fictitious person so that I could do this and show you what we have, because they didn't have pictures for all these screens. And so don't do this, please. Just use these if you want. Okay, so you're asked first to select how this person's related to you. Because at this point, the new member is in Tree and they have a person, they have a living record in Tree, and they can connect a grandparent to them, a parent, a spouse, a sibling, a child. Those are the ones they would prefer. They have others there, but they would really prefer that you pick one of those people to take to the temple: parent, grandparent, spouse, sibling, or child. That's because if we're inside the 110-year rule, those people the new member does not need to go get permission for. They can give the permission themselves. Okay, and 99% of the time they're going to be, the person they're picking is going to be less than 110 years old. Okay, so I pick sibling. I'm making up a brother. And so it says I can either do a brother or a sister. So I clicked on brother and I click on next. And then they asked me to give the brother's name. So I made up a name. I click next. And then it says enter at least one date and place for death or birth. I can do both. Right now I've clicked on birth. But after I do birth, I could also do death, or I could just do death. Either way, so I made up a date and I gave a location. These have to be standardized. The system's going to work just like FamilySearch would. If you don't standardize, they aren't going to be eligible. So make sure you standardize the dates and places. See, these are things that users need to be taught. Okay, once I've done that, it'll say, after I put it in and standardized it, it says, Joseph Hale Givens now has enough standardized information to qualify for temple work. Now I click next, and I love this screen. What it does is this is the screen where it does checking. It goes through and checks for a possible match. Now, I'll tell you the truth. The first time I tried this, I used my brother, my real brother, who died shortly after childbirth, and tried to make him as if he lived long enough to need to be baptized. I put in his actual death date, and the system did not catch it. And so it really kind of surprised me. So it makes me a little worried at times that the checking feature may not be real foolproof.
Bob, can I interrupt with a question?
Yeah, I guess so.
When they're putting this in, do we still have the ability to put in like about, May 1960 or an about, which we can
Put in what?
When we use about, let's say we don't actually have
Yeah,
the
you can
birthday.
use about.
And do they need to be deceased for a year? Is that still in one of the, I thought.
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble picking up what you're saying.
Do they need to be deceased for a year?
Yeah, they have to be deceased for 30 days.
Thank you.
Okay, and all the rules of FamilySearch apply here. So it first checks for duplicates. Then it goes and it puts the name in FamilySearch connected to you based on what you told it. And it prepares the name and reserves it for you. That all happens right now. You don't have to do that. It does it for you. So I say this is a simplest way in the world to get a name. If I click next, now it takes me to my reservation list. And you'll see that he's already in the reservation list. Now, at this point, I can print the card. I could also go down below and I could add another person if I wanted to do more than one. And it would take me back to step one, and I'd put the relationship in and then the name and then the dates and so on, and it would add that. Or if I wanted to skip printing for some reason, which I would not recommend, I'd recommend you have them walk out with the card or they may never get it printed. They can skip the printing at this point. But so at this point, most likely you're going to go through the print options, and I'm not going to show those because we know how things print out. Then it's going to ask you to help them make an appointment to the temple. It'd be nice to be able to do it right then and there. Of course, you can't always do it, but you can teach them how to go to tools or go to FamilySearch.org or LDS.org. There's all kinds of places where you can make an appointment to go to the temple. But teach them how to make that appointment. And then the last step is to suggest to you, the helper, that you help them get to the temple, and they have a whole list of planning considerations, which are things for the new member to think about. You know, what are you going to be doing? How are you going to do it? What's the situation? You know, what's the physical arrangement of the temple and the changing rooms and the clothing and all that kind of stuff? It's all explained for them. Really a well thought out program to really help these people through the process, especially the first time. Okay, some things to consider. That's the program. That's how you use it. Okay, it's intended to be a bridge for a beginner between not knowing anything about FamilySearch Tree and being able to use it. You're not expecting them at this point to use Family Tree, but you would hope that having used the bridge and they get the feel for this, they're going to be willing to go over and work in the full tree with a helper, with their ministering brothers or sisters, the consultants, the people working in the local center, whomever, to help them get started so that they can add more people in. It's really intended for those that don't have a tree or only have a few people. You know, if you think about it, if somebody's been able to sit down with them and help them develop the immediate family in their tree, they really don't need this. They can just use Ordinances Ready, and it's going to pull up these people, because Ordinances Ready will look at their tree and pick the closest people to them that need temple work. And if they put in their parents who might be deceased, that'll be the first things Ordinances Ready is going to pull up. And so, you know, if you think about it in that way, if you've been able to work with these people early, if the missionaries have been working with the ward leaders and, you know, letting you know that we've got this person about to be baptized, and maybe get them in contact with a consultant or somebody, they could already have this stuff prepared. And then instead of going through Family Name Assist, you could just click on Ordinances Ready and pull up names that way. Okay, because it's easy, beware though. There is a slim possibility you're creating duplicates. It'd be nice if you could to check beforehand. I know that's not always easy, and quite frankly, the odds are they're not going to be duplicates, because if they're really doing these close relatives, they're people that probably are under the 110-year rule, and other people aren't going to have access to them anyway. And because only a minimal amount of data is used, this is important. I would suggest that at a later date, you help the patron research this person that we found and add their full data. Do some research on them, add some sources, get full birth and death dates and all the other things, you know, that you can find on FamilySearch, so that it reduces the chances of somebody else finding, you know, doing this person at a later date. And then always remember, all the FamilySearch rules apply. The 110-year rule, the rules on names, standardizing dates and places, all those things apply. Okay. And if the bishop or branch president is working with a new member or unendowed member or returning member or a youth that hasn't been to the temple before, don't use this tool without the leader's permission. Don't step on their toes. They have the right to use this first if they feel like it. And they may want to take ownership of this. And they have the right to that. Okay. There are actually 5 excellent sources that I found. The first one is the web page that we've talked about, which is the Family Name Assist web page, actually. The second one is a Help Center article, How Do I Use Family Name Assist? The third one's from the FamilySearch blog, a new tool with preparing family names for temple baptisms. The fourth one is from the newsroom over at churchofjesuschrist.org. on the 2024 Temple and Family History efforts to help those new to Temple attendance. And then the last one's an actual church news article. I will tell you that you will find different things in every one of those articles. So it's really kind of good to review all of them so that you get a well-rounded view of what this program's like. And like I said, when we're done, this class will be posted at YouTube, the recording. I will also post on our blog, I don't do it on YouTube, but on the blog, a PDF document that has all these slides, including this one that we're looking at. Our blog is found at Fresno North Stake Family History Center.blogspot.com. Yeah, I have to use Family History Center because I don't want to change the name after it was changed by the church, because then I would lose the linkage that a lot of people have to this. So I've just left it alone. But you will get the link for those that PDF document with the letter that comes out after this announcing the recording. So I strongly recommend that you share those resources with people. Final thought, Family Name Assist creates opportunities for members to feel the influence of the Holy Ghost as they remember their loved ones and prepare to serve them in the temple. These powerful, strengthening experiences can be particularly meaningful to new and returning members and youth who are preparing to enter the temple for the first time. This came from that March 28th letter that was sent out to the leaders introducing Family Name Assist. May you all spread the word on this and make sure that it's being used in all of our units, because in the end, we're going to be greatly blessing the lives of those who have just accepted the gospel in their lives. Okay, that's it. Let me stop the recording.